I've known my childhood sweetheart for 15 years and have been in love with her for 4 years. She said that on the day of our graduation, we would get married, but on that day, she became someone else's bride. I walked into the wedding venue just wanting to get a reason. The man beside her said with a pained expression, "Brother Julian, I have cancer and I'm going to die soon. Luna married me just to help me fulfill my only wish." "My childhood sweetheart and lover," Luna said, seriously. "I'll explain it to you after this is over. This isn't the time for you to be unreasonable." I smiled, wished them a long and happy marriage, and turned away. On the day of our university graduation, Luna disappeared. My friends all looked at me in a strange way, as if they had something to say but didn't. I felt anxious and desperately called Luna, but she didn't answer. Then I saw a message forwarded by a friend saying that she was getting married, and it even included an address. At first, I thought they were joking or it was some new way of celebration, but the closer I got to that place, the more I felt that something was wrong. When I reached the door, Luna's friends looked flustered when they saw me. "Brother-in-law, why are you here?" I pointed at the door, and my voice was trembling. Inside, who was getting married? Luna and I were childhood sweethearts. We were playmates who could talk about anything since we were little. From kindergarten to university, we were almost inseparable. Our relationship naturally developed into a romantic one, and everything seemed to happen so smoothly. Whenever someone saw us, they would always praise us, saying, "They are so innocent and a perfect match made in heaven." And I always firmly believed that Luna was the one destined for me in my life. Luna often smiled at me and said that our meeting and falling in love were like a script already arranged by fate. She was like a gift in my life, coming to me early and accompanying me through every lonely moment. Every time I heard her say that, I would smile from ear to ear. Without Luna, my world would lose all its colors and meaning. I thought that we would walk hand in hand into the wedding hall and grow old together until our hair turned gray. However, reality dealt me the most cruel blow. On the day of the graduation ceremony, the very day Luna said we would get married, I was full of anticipation for walking into the future with Luna, but she walked into the wedding hall with another man. I pushed through the crowd recklessly and rushed into the wedding venue. Luna was wearing a white wedding dress so beautiful that it made people's hearts flutter, but she was holding Henry's hand and toasting the guests together. My heart felt as if it had been torn apart. She was still so beautiful, but in my eyes, it was extremely dazzling. When she saw me, Luna's face turned pale instantly, and a trace of panic and guilt flashed in her eyes, but was immediately interrupted by Henry. "Brother Julian, I have cancer and I'm going to die soon. Marrying Luna is my father's only wish, and she's doing it to help me." There was a trace of pleading and helplessness in Henry's voice. It was as if he was the most pitiful and innocent one, and I was the overbearing one who shouldn't have made things difficult for him. Luna looked at me coldly, with an unyielding firmness in her tone. "This isn't the time to argue. I'll give you an explanation when this is over." "No need." My heart seemed to have a huge hole torn in it, and the hole kept getting bigger. The pain made it almost impossible for me to breathe. I took off the engagement ring that Luna gave me and threw it out of the window fiercely. This ring once represented our promise and love, but at this moment it became the most painful memory in my heart. I took a deep breath and tried my best to calm down my emotions. "I wish you a long and happy marriage and an early birth of a precious child." Then I turned around and left without looking back. "Julian," Luna wanted to chase after me to explain, but her steps were stopped by Henry's violent coughing. I didn't look back. I sneered silently and kept walking. Luna looked back at Henry anxiously. In the end, she still chose to stay by Henry's side. I walked out of the wedding venue, letting my tears blur my vision, and my heart was filled with overwhelming pain. Just as I was about to leave, Luna's friends surrounded me and blocked my way, all talking at once, trying to say something. "Julian, Luna has her reasons. Don't blame her." "Julian, there's nothing between Luna and Henry." "Yeah, Julian, wait a minute and listen to Luna's explanation." I waved my hand and refused their persuasion to stay. I looked at them with an indifferent expression. Suddenly, I laughed. These friends of mine, they clearly knew everything. They actually kept this from me, together with Luna, for so long. It's really ridiculous. I've known them for quite a while, but in such an important matter, they chose to side with Luna. They all joined hands to keep it from me. If I hadn't come today, were they going to let me continue to be a naive fool? Were they going to let me unknowingly be the other woman? Don't call me brother-in-law in the future. We're not that close. Let's pretend we don't know each other when we meet again. I got into a taxi, opened my bag, and saw the admission notice from a top foreign school that I had prepared long ago. I had planned to tell her about it today, but now it seemed unnecessary. In fact, there were already signs of Luna's change in the period before graduation. She often came home very late, and sometimes she even didn't come home at all. I was often alone in our rented apartment. At school, I rarely saw her either. Every time I called, it was noisy on her end, but her excuse was always, "I'm working." Over time, at the company, I'm too busy. She said that after she finished this busy period, she would spend more time with me. Now that I think about it, it wasn't overtime at all. She was probably busy preparing for the wedding. I made an appointment for the formalities to go abroad. Unexpectedly, it was so coincidental that I met Luna's friend, Isabella. She was one of the few people I didn't see at the wedding today. She looked at me with a complicated expression and asked, "Does Luna know that you're leaving?" I shook my head and asked, "Did you know that Luna was getting married today?" Isabella let out a sigh. I tried to persuade Luna. She knows your temper best, but you also know that Luna has a soft heart. Junior has liked her for many years and has been chasing her. Before, Luna always refused him firmly, but recently he said that he was seriously ill and didn't have much time left. His biggest wish was to marry Luna. Luna struggled for a long time and finally softened her heart and agreed. As soon as I heard this, I got angry. Was a wedding a joke? Just get married like that? Did she ever consider my feelings? What did she take me for? A wedding is one of the most important moments in anyone's life, but Luna so easily used it to fulfill a dream that was about to fade away. Where did she put the promise and affection between us? No matter what the reason was, the things that should have been done with me, she did them with someone else. This was a betrayal. The feeling of heartache gradually settled down until it became numb, as if even the sadness had lost its sharpness. Isabella's sigh gently rang in my ear. "Have you really decided without any more hesitation?" I nodded firmly, and my voice was filled with unyielding determination. "Don't try to persuade me anymore, just go through the procedures." After dealing with all the formalities, I closed my eyes, and exhaustion washed over me like a tide. The world around me seemed to lose its color. My body felt light, and my thoughts involuntarily drifted back to my distant childhood. In my memory, on that evening after kindergarten, there was less laughter at home than usual. My mother was sitting alone in the living room, gently stroking her still flat belly, and tears were silently falling. I ran over excitedly, but she hugged me gently with a hint of sadness. She said softly, "Julian, let's not have this little brother or sister." Okay, I was full of doubts and didn't understand why my mother would suddenly change her mind. A few days ago, she was still happily telling me that I was going to be a big brother. This sudden change filled my young heart with confusion, but I respected every decision my mother made, even though I didn't understand the reason. Until one day, my mother suddenly disappeared. The next time I saw her, it was accompanied by my father's dejected and tired figure. My mother threw a mobile phone at my father, and there was a coldness and determination in her eyes that I had never seen before. "What are you coming back for? Aren't you busy choosing a ring for your new lover?" Her words were like sharp blades, cutting through all the warmth that had once existed. "I'm not the kind of person who will pester others. I've already prepared the divorce agreement. We can end all this right away. Julian, I'll take him with me. After all, your mother has never accepted him." My mother's words revealed determination and helplessness. My father was in tears, trying to save the situation, but my mother had already picked me up, placed me on the suitcase, and resolutely set out on the path of leaving. She whispered in my ear, "Once deception starts, it's hard to stop. Since the rift has already appeared, it can't be mended to its original state. Julian, I hope you can be happy throughout your life and find someone who loves you with all their heart. But more importantly, I hope you can be the one who knows best how to love yourself." The life of a single mother was indeed not easy, but she never made me feel that burden. Whenever she felt tired or under great pressure, she would always gently touch my face and tell me, "As long as you're here, I have the strength." Living without a father made me seem a bit different among my little friends. Some even spread rumors that I was the child of a mistress, which made me suffer a lot of grievances. But children, sometimes they are just straightforward. They would treat me badly because of what they heard from adults and even give me nicknames. Although I didn't dare to fight back in front of adults, I remembered everything in my heart. When they were playing alone, I would find an opportunity to teach them a lesson so that they would know I wasn't someone to be bullied. However, all this didn't matter. What mattered was that I met Luna. Later, after a fight with a boy, I was hiding in a corner, dealing with my wounds on my own, when Luna suddenly appeared. She was holding antiseptic solution and cotton swabs. Looking at me, she seemed a bit helpless and amused. "You're so thin. How can you fight so fiercely?" But she still helped me clean the wounds. Her movements were so gentle that I even forgot. But pain, she had a really beautiful smile. From that day on, whenever I got injured, she would come to help me. Just like that, we became good friends from kindergarten to primary school and then to junior high school. We accompanied each other all the way. My mother could earn some money now, and our life was getting better and better. My mother seemed to have noticed the special feeling between Luna and me, but she never brought it up. The relationship between our two families was also getting better and better. It was just that everyone tacitly didn't mention the affection between Luna and me, as if waiting for it to mature slowly. In the midsummer of the year, when we graduated from senior high school, Luna held a simple silver ring in her hand and gently put it on my finger. There was an unprecedented depth of affection and anticipation shining in her eyes as she softly made a promise. When we graduate from university, we'll get married. Julian, I can't wait to marry you. At that moment, the cherry blossom petals danced gently in the wind. It was so beautiful that it didn't seem to belong to this world, but it was like a phantom that could never be replicated again. I woke up and found that I had fallen asleep in the hall, and there were still tears at the corners of my eyes. Isabella looked at me worriedly and wanted to invite me to have a big meal together. I refused. At the moment, I just wanted to go home and see my mother. Unexpectedly, on the way, I ran into two unlucky acquaintances. Luna was carefully protecting Henry, and her nervousness was as if Henry was a fragile treasure. Our eyes met, and the air was filled with awkwardness and something subtle. Luna's expression became a bit stiff, and she reluctantly squeezed out, "A greeting, what a coincidence. You're here too." The corners of my mouth curled into a faint smile with a bit of self-mockery. "It seems that I'm interrupting your lovey-dovey moment. I'll leave right away." Just as I turned to leave, my wrist was gently but firmly held back by a force. There was a bit more sincerity in Luna's voice. "Don't get me wrong, I'm accompanying Henry for a follow-up checkup. His health condition isn't very good." I nodded slightly and pulled my hand back subtly, my tone calm and distant. "Miss Luna, you're married now. You should pay attention and not be too touchy-feely. Let's delete each other's contact information. This is also fair to your husband." Then I turned to Henry, and there was a bit more meaning in my eyes. "Don't you think so, Mr. Henry? In a marriage, giving the other party enough sense of security is the most important thing." Henry looked embarrassed, his eyes flickering, and he started coughing while covering his chest. This time, Luna didn't immediately go to support him. I smiled faintly and turned to leave. When I got home, I immediately started packing things. I packed all of Luna's things and put them at the door. The gifts she gave me were also thrown out. Together, my head started to hurt again, and my phone kept vibrating, but I didn't want to care about it. I directly blocked and deleted all of Luna's contact information. When I drove home, it was already 7 o'clock in the evening. When my mother saw my pale face, she didn't ask anything. She just gave me a hug and told me to have a good rest. I stayed at home like this for 3 days, feeling groggy every day. Sometimes, I would even think of some bad things. But every time I smelled the fragrance of the bed sheets, all those bad thoughts would disappear. On the 4th day, I finally had the strength to get out of bed. On the 5th day, my mother was very happy to see me and brought me a bowl of dough soup. I took a sip of water and then said to my mother, "Mom, Luna, ... double quotes," and I broke up. After hearing this, my mother's expression froze on her face. She looked completely puzzled, but still remained calm, not wanting to put any burden on me. She got married. With just these words, my mother instantly understood what I had been through. Anger burned on her face. She went into the room and took out a small box, placing it on the table. She said, "If you've broken up, then it's over. There will ... be someone better in the future. However, since you've broken up, let's return all of Luna's family's things." Only now did I fully understand the situation. It turned out that Luna's mother had always been very satisfied with me. She had long discussed with my mother and planned to let us to have a wedding after graduation. She even specially took out a family heirloom jade pendant for me. The meaning was obvious. She recognized me as her future son. But the world is full of unexpected things. Who could have thought that such a thing would happen? When I arrived at Luna's house, the sun was already high in the sky. When Luna's mother saw me, she had a smile as bright as a flower. But her son Gabriel ignored me and turned around and left. Luna's mother pulled me into the living room, and then I realized that both Luna and Henry were there. Luna's mother also took our two hands and joked, "Did you two make an appointment to come back together? Now that you've graduated, have you thought about what to do next? For example, getting married?" As she spoke, she wanted to put my hand and Luna's hand together, but I immediately pulled my hand back. A trace of disappointment flashed in Luna's eyes, but I really didn't have the heart to care about that now. I turned to look at my mother, and she knew what was on my mind. It seemed that Luna's mother still didn't know anything. She had always been very kind to me, and I couldn't bear to tell her the truth directly, so my mother spoke for me. At this time, Luna was also in a hurry. She came over and tried to pull me, begging me in a low voice, "Julian, things aren't what you think. Give me some time, and I'll explain it clearly to you." But it was already too late. My mother took out the box containing the jade pendant and placed it on the table. "Luna, we may need to think about this marriage more carefully. You're already a mother-in-law now, and our Julian may not have that good fortune. We're returning this jade pendant to you. Please check if there's any problem. Our two families will still be good friends in the future." At this moment, Gabriel suddenly jumped out and grabbed Luna, asking, "Sister, did you change your husband? Is it Brother Henry?" This question immediately made the atmosphere very awkward. Luna's face turned very ugly, and she gave Gabriel a fierce glare. "Gabriel, shut up." Luna's mother examined us back and forth, and her eyes revealed disbelief and deep disappointment. She tried to speak several times, but her anger blocked her words. She could only point at Luna and say several things, her voice full of anger and disappointment. Gabriel, it seemed, didn't notice the tense atmosphere at all, and still spoke without thinking. Julian, except for his good-looking face, he's just a child born out of wedlock. How can he compare to brother Henry? Gabriel's words were like a sharp blade piercing straight into people's hearts. There were 2 slaps, and Luna's mother and my mother slapped Gabriel at the same time. Luna's mother shouted sternly, her gaze fixed on Gabriel like a torch. "Shut up, Julian is a legitimate child, not what you said." Then Luna's mother's gaze fell on Henry beside Luna. There was confusion and puzzlement in her heart. She had always thought that her daughter was very cautious about matters of the heart. She never expected that today her daughter would bring a strange man home, and judging from their appearance, they had a close relationship. Could this be the person who was about to become her son-in-law? Luna? There was a hint of trembling and accusation in Luna's mother's words. She wanted to get to the bottom of things, but was also afraid of hearing the answer she didn't want to hear. Seeing her mother so angry, Luna quickly stepped forward to soothe her. "Mom, don't get excited. Listen to me. There's just a formality. Between Henry and me, we don't have a real legal relationship." Her words were full of sincerity and urgency, hoping to calm her mother down. However, Luna's mother didn't calm down because of this. Instead, she slapped Luna across the face with her backhand, her eyes filled with deep regret. "Get out of here. How could I have a daughter like you?" She felt both sympathy and sadness for my experience, and at the same time, she was angry and disappointed with her daughter's rebellion and lack of understanding. Luna's mother looked at me with pity. She was also a single mother, raising 2 children, and knew how difficult it had been for my mother and me. She had thought that our 2 families could form a happy union. No one could have expected that such a thing would happen. My body hadn't been feeling right recently. After all this turmoil, I fell ill when I got home. In half a month, my weight dropped sharply, and I lost almost 10 pounds during this period. I don't know what got into Gabriel. He added me on WeChat and sent me photos of Luna and Henry every day, along with a bunch of sarcastic remarks. "Look, my sister can live well without you. My sister is sweet with Henry now. Just give up, Julian. Step aside. My sister has Henry, and that's enough for her. You only have my sister, but my sister can't possibly only have you." Henry also joined in the fun and sent some unpleasant messages. "Senior Julian, thank you for giving Luna to me. Don't blame me, I'm going to die soon. And don't blame Senior Luna either. I asked her to accompany me for the last part of my life. When I get better, you 2 can be together again. Just let me have her for now." Later, he went even further and said that they were already married and told me to stay away. I was so annoyed that I blocked both of them. I was gloomy every day, and I became thinner and thinner. My mother felt extremely sorry for me when she saw me like this. Besides running the store, she would make me soup to nourish my body. But it didn't have much effect. She was so worried that she said she would take me out to relax. However, before we could go out, Luna came to our door. She also looked haggard. Arc circles under her eyes. "Julian, can we talk?" Her voice was, "I went back and saw that you had packed all my things. Please listen to my explanation." "Okay." As soon as my mother saw her, she wanted to drive her away, but I stopped her. I asked my mother to go home first, and I talked to Luna outside. Seeing my mother leave, Luna visibly relaxed. I looked at her and found it a bit ridiculous. "Go ahead. What do you want to explain?" I asked her coldly. Luna was eager to quell my anger and quickly recounted Henry's situation. "Julian, after all, Henry is my junior. He has liked me for all these years. I just wanted to help him fulfill his dream. Really, nothing happened between us." She summarized it lightly, as if I was the unreasonable one and Henry was the innocent one. After all, it was just a gimmick. For the wedding, there was no real betrayal. She tried to convince me with this logic. I sneered and showed her all the chat records on my phone at once. "Your junior doesn't think so." Luna flipped through the chat records, and her face became darker and darker. Just then, the phone screen lit up, and Isabella's call display came into view. Her voice was gentle, but a bit anxious. "Julian, how are you feeling? You rushed through the procedures to go abroad. You need to pay attention to rest." It was too late when I tried to snatch the phone back. These words were like a bolt from the blue, and Luna's face instantly turned gloomy. She held the phone, and her fingers were almost trembling. "Isabella, what do you mean by going abroad? What on earth is going on?" Her voice was full of disbelief and panic. Isabella, on the other end of the phone, was silent for a moment. Luna's questioning became more and more urgent. "Isabella, do you know something? Tell me." Her voice changed, from asking to pleading, and finally, it was almost hysterical. "Isabella." There was despair in Luna's cry, as if this was her last hope. However, there was only silence on the other end of the phone, and then the cold sound of the disconnection. Luna looked at me, her eyes full of pleading and fear. She grabbed my shoulders tightly, and her voice trembled. "Julian, Tell me Isabella was talking nonsense, right? She didn't say that you were going abroad, did she? I looked into Luna's eyes, filled with panic and unease, and my heart turned cold. I didn't answer immediately. I just pulled my shoulders back from her hands abruptly. There's no mistake. Isabella was asking about me. My voice was terrifyingly calm, as if I was talking about something that had nothing to do with me. Isn't it a coincidence? On the day of your wedding, I made a decision and went through the procedures. Luna, you know that I received this offer more than a month ago. Originally, I refused it. But that day, I always remember that on the day of graduation, I was full of anticipation waiting for you. You said that we would get married on the day of graduation. I had been waiting since it was almost time to graduate. I waited for you for a long time. I told myself that you were just too busy. I took a deep breath and slowly released the emotions that had been pent up in my chest for a long time. What about you? You chose to run away and chose him. You gave up on me and our future. I looked at her again, and there was no trace of nostalgia in my eyes this time. You gave up on me. This time I choose to give up on you. When I got home, I took my mother out. I don't know when Luna left. My mother and I had dinner and went shopping in the mall. While waiting to pay, two unexpected figures caught my eye. Gabriel, and beside him was Henry. The two of them were beaming with joy and looked full of energy. Henry was in surprisingly good condition. There was no sign of illness at all. Instead, he looked more vibrant than me. A healthy person. They were chatting and walking, gradually getting closer to where I was. I quickly hid behind a large doll sculpture and listened to their conversation. That bastard Julian still wants to get involved with our family. It's just wishful thinking. How could he be worthy of my sister? Gabriel's tone was full of disdain. Your idea was really clever, pretending to have a terminal illness and getting the doctor to issue a fake certificate. Although the method was a bit harsh, the effect was immediate. Henry agreed proudly. Now that I'm married to Luna, everyone has recognized this marriage. After a while, I'll reveal that there's a turnaround in my illness. Maybe I can make this fake marriage a real one. There was a calculating glint in Gabriel's eyes. The two of them looked at each other and smiled. Then Henry asked curiously, but then again, why are you so against Julian? Did he offend you? It's all because he not only occupied my sister but also seduced the woman I liked. Isabella, she's my sister's good friend. Gabriel's tone was full of resentment. I've liked Isabella since I was a child, but she has a soft spot for that bastard, Julian. She refused my pursuit again and again because of him. Hearing this, an indescribable emotion welled up in my heart. I quickly took out my phone and silently recorded this conversation. I couldn't help but find it ridiculous. So it was just for such a stupid reason that he kicked me away and brought Henry in as his brother-in-law. It was really ridiculous. Without the slightest hesitation, I sent this video to Luna, Luna's mother, and Isabella, respectively, along with a brief written explanation. Then I dialed Isabella's number. Do you like me? On the other end of the phone, Isabella's voice trembled a bit, but she was extremely firm. Yes, I like you. I didn't hang up the phone in a hurry. Instead, I put forward a condition. After you watch the video I sent you, I hope you can apologize to me. Maybe after that, I'll give you a whole new answer. Not long after I got home, my mother answered a phone call and rushed out in a hurry. Later, when chatting with the aunt from Luna's family, I heard that Luna's mother directly kicked Gabriel out of the house. It happened quite suddenly. Luna came to my house and directly knelt on the ground. I had to beg my mother for forgiveness. As for Henry, that insidious guy slumped back to school without even saying hello. How could this matter be left like this? I have to let everyone know the truth and not let myself be wronged in vain. I found a junior on the school's official website. He usually likes to play around on the internet and is also very loyal. I sent him the video, and he got angry as soon as he saw it. He didn't hesitate to push this video onto the school's official blog and attached a highly impactful text warning. Within the campus, there are actually those who have lost their moral integrity. Some people, using their seemingly frail and sickly state as a pretense, actually have ulterior motives and attempt to break up an affectionate, unmarried couple. This video serves as evidence, and the truth is revealed. This pair of lovers, who have weathered many storms and were on the verge of entering the marriage hall, were forced to part ways because of one person's selfishness. Do you know how cruel and sinful your actions are? As soon as this news spread, all of Luna's friends were in an uproar. Their faces all changed, and they felt extremely regretful. They started calling me, one after another, to apologize. What was the use of that? At the beginning, they all chose to hide the truth from me and played me for a fool, making me run around in circles. Now their relationship with Luna was also affected, and they became estranged. From then on, the video continued to ferment on the internet for several days. Henry's name and his department were under the focus of a magnifying glass. With nowhere to hide, in this era of information explosion, people might still maintain some rationality towards the actions of mistresses or people who try to steal someone else's partner. But the word fraud alone touched everyone's bottom line and became an unforgivable crime. Many people in the school already knew about my relationship with Luna, and everyone thought that we would be a beautiful story of a couple who would stay together until the end. Who would have thought that our separation would stem from such an absurd reason? This unexpected turn made those classmates who were originally enthusiastic about shipping us as a couple instantly turn their criticism towards Henry. They put on their internet armor and unreservedly expressed their dissatisfaction and anger towards him. Some even directly reported this matter to the school, hoping that the school authorities could give a fair judgment. The school authorities were really troubled by this escalating turmoil, seeing that the situation was getting out of control and had caused a considerable impact on the school's reputation. The school finally made the decision to suspend Henry from school as a response to this incident. This series of chain reactions was really unexpected. During the days when this turmoil gradually subsided, Isabella suddenly visited my home. She specially took her annual leave. As she entered the door, she brought all kinds of nourishing products. Her eyes were full of apology and unease, as if she needed to muster up a lot of courage just to look at me directly. I prepared these nourishing products a long time ago. I originally thought you would still go back to the city, and I planned to give them to you in person. Now it seems that it's not too late to give them to you directly. Her voice carried a bit of apology and tenderness. When my mother saw this, she smiled and nodded. Her eyes revealed approval and satisfaction towards Isabella. She gently patted my shoulder and said meaningfully, "This girl is nice. Just forget about that other one. Isabella is really likable, and she gets along well with me too." When I heard this, a trace of an embarrassed look crossed my face. Isabella's cheeks turned as red as a ripe apple. She quickly selected 2 boxes of beauty and skin-nourishing products from the supplements she brought and handed them to my mother, saying sweetly, "Auntie, you still look so young and beautiful. These are carefully selected by me. I hope you will like them." My mother was delighted by Isabella's words and praised her repeatedly. Then she happily took the gifts and went back to her room, leaving Isabella and me in the living room. The atmosphere became a bit subtle and awkward for a while. Regarding Henry's matter, I felt a little comfort in my heart, but another matter was still unresolved. Come to think of it, you are also involved in our entanglement. Look, I'm all alone. Now, don't you think you should take some responsibility? I casually picked up my phone and took a photo with Isabella. In the camera, I had a bright smile, which was a sincere smile that I hadn't shown for a long time. Isabella's eyes were always gently fixed on me. I didn't hide this photo privately. I directly shared it on my Moments and even pinned it at the top on purpose, wanting everyone to see our new beginning. The phone rang abruptly. It was Gabriel, and his tone was filled with barely concealed anger. "What exactly are you and Isabella up to? Weren't you interested in my sister? Why are you with Isabella now?" His questions came one after another like a machine gun. I chuckled softly. My gaze swept over Isabella, who was chatting happily with my mother, and I replied, "Isabella knows everything, and besides, she quite enjoys this process. As for me, I'm single now. Isabella thinks she has the responsibility to help me get out of the trough, so we just naturally got together." I deliberately said it casually, but there was more meaning behind my words. Gabriel, on the other end of the phone, was obviously very angry. I heard the sound of something breaking on his side. "You bastard. How dare you? Why are you treating me like this? Why did you steal my Isabella?" His voice was full of despair and unwillingness. I sighed, and there was a hint of mockery in my tone. "Gabriel, don't forget it was you who pushed me away first, and it was also you who brought Isabella into this situation. Abella, to my side, why are you acting like this? Now I really need someone to accompany me." And Isabella happened to show up. She gave me warmth and the courage to start over. "All of this is caused by you, and you have to take responsibility." I deliberately said it bluntly, wanting him to wake up completely. "You've been abandoned. Why don't you go and die? Why don't you get depression? Why don't you just die?" On the other end of the phone, Gabriel's roaring gradually faded away, while I, together with Isabella and my mother, continued to enjoy this rare warm moment. After a period of rest, my mother felt sorry for my hard work in the workplace. So, she decided to let me stay away from those troubles and opened a warm bookstore for me. She also thoughtfully hired 2 clerks for me so that I don't need to worry too much about the daily operation of the bookstore. Here, I enjoyed an unprecedented peace and freedom. Sometimes I would drink tea, and sometimes I would take a break. My days were leisurely and pleasant. The daily trivial matters of the bookstore were all taken care of in an orderly manner by those 2 attentive clerks. I only made the most important decisions and felt this rare peace. "Manager, that lady is here again." The clerk's soft reminder broke the tranquility of the bookstore. It was really annoying that Luna always showed up every now and then, like a lingering ghost. She walked into the bookstore with a bento box and walked towards me with a beaming smile. "Julian, I remember you used to like the sweet and sour pork fillet from this place. It's lunchtime. Do you want to have a taste?" I had no expression on my face. Thank you for your kindness, but I'm a bit picky about my taste now. I only want to eat the food cooked by a specific person. As soon as she heard this, she understood what I meant. Her face stiffened slightly, but she still put down the bento box and left in a hurry, making up an excuse. After she left, I gave the bento box to the clerk. Not long after, my lunch was also delivered. Isabella walked in with a thermal lunchbox, smiling as warmly as spring. I made your favorite sweet and sour pork fillet. I also specially improved it according to the taste of the store you often go to. I hope you like it. I opened the lunchbox, and the aroma filled the air. I took a bite, and it was indeed delicious. She sat opposite me and quietly watched me eat. There wasn't much verbal communication between us, but the tacit understanding and warmth made people feel extremely comfortable. Since that incident, we have been getting along like this. We haven't broken through that layer of window paper, but we both know it clearly in our hearts. Maybe one day in the future we will take it to the next level, but for now, this kind of relationship is the best for us. I know better than anyone that Julian and I can never go back to the way we were. After that day, I couldn't fall asleep for whole nights, and could only take sleeping pills. Today, I finally managed to fall asleep. I actually dreamed of Julian. In the dream, he was still very young, just a few years old, looking like a rice ball, but his eyes were very stubborn. He was surrounded by a group of children who were gossiping about him, but he didn't After they left, he secretly went to fight those children who had bullied him. He didn't care even if he got injured himself. When I saw that he was injured, I went home to get the medicine and helped him apply it. He told me his name was Julian. What a nice name. Since then, we often stayed together. I always felt that I had to follow him closely and not let him leave me. Time passed quickly, and in the blink of an eye, he graduated from senior high school and grew into a handsome young man. My feelings for him grew deeper and deeper in my heart, so I gave him a ring and said that we would get married on the day of our university graduation. He was extremely happy. After entering university, Julian still accompanied me every day. However, later on, a boy named Henry kept pestering me. I didn't want to cause trouble, so I didn't tell Julian about it, until one day, Henry suddenly came to me. He held a medical report and said that he had cancer and didn't have much time left. He wanted me to accompany him through his last days. I softened my heart and agreed. Later, Henry cried and begged me to fulfill his only last wish. "Senior Luna, would you please marry me? It's just for show." I struggled for a long time and finally gritted my teeth and married him without telling Julian. Although it was just a ceremony, Julian suddenly appeared at the wedding, and I was completely stunned. In a trance, I saw Julian walking in the rain alone and going home alone. He looked extremely lonely. Suddenly, the dream shattered, and when I woke up, I couldn't stop crying.